Nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes to be told that they're not doing something that's right or appropriate, especially when they haven't asked, especially when they're family. So the question is, how can I position myself to be helpful, truly? If they're not asking for your opinion about where they are in terms of their addictions, it's fair to have those concerns. And you have to ask yourself, how do you communicate with each other? What is your sphere of influence, if any? Are they open to input? These are hard questions. The serenity prayer comes to mind. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Your sphere of influence is to show love, compassion, kindness, and to create some avenues to some really powerful, wonderful, healthy experiences. Ellen, I'm delighted that you're here in the circle with us today. What inquiry do you bring for all of our consideration?
Thank you. Thank you, Tommy.
Yes.
This whole day has been, or this podcast, I was just telling these pretty ladies, these beautiful ladies, how enriching listening to them was for me, and hearing your answers. Your answers were so good. My inquiry is, I think that we can kind of put it around the aggravations, but it is in my life, my heartfelt desire is to add value to my family. And these are people that I'm responsible for. I feel a responsibility towards them, towards both my family and my good friends. And most of those people are not sober or yogis. So most of my life, I have been a student of yoga. Most of my life, I've been sober. And when I haven't been sober, I've been very not sober. Like, I am the person who, if I have a drink of alcohol, I'll see you 2 bottles of wine later. Or I was just telling that, if I have an M&M, I'll probably eat like a family-sized bag and then get in my car and go get another one. So that's just how bad it is for me. But in my family right now is really struggling with a lot of these aggravations. And although not everyone in my family has become full-blown addiction, a couple people have. And in my life, I've lost numerous people to, they've gone out. And so right now, even this last year, it's like my heart is just like, because when I try and help, they shut the door. Like, I have to keep inviting them in, inviting them in, inviting them in, while I'm watching this destruction. It's almost like this giant monster of addiction sucking their souls out. And it hurts so much. And so this community is very comforting to me. But I just, I keep asking for strategies. I create environments and occasions where people can come together and feel joy and celebrate things. But I also feel like I'm walking on glass, because if I just look the wrong way, if I just, in my mind, they can see they're gone. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want them to be gone.
Yes.
So I'm just mostly just sharing what's going on and being able to have a community I can share that with. And you listen and hear the struggles. It's been highly valuable to me, and I continue to study to try and find ways to help.
Okay.
And bring people with me. or, you know, bring people to their full thriving.
Mhm. Okay, so I just have a few questions for you before diving in here. First, you consider yourself a person in recovery
Absolutely.
from what?
Um, I would just say that I'm an addictive personality. I
Okay.
mean, I
Have you needed to let go of some
I don't
substances?
drink, I don't do any drugs at all. I mean, I used to like to drink. When I told people I've been in recovery, or I haven't taken any substances for 12 years.
Okay.
Um, and before that, I would be like 10 years without drinking. I mean, it doesn't work for me, and I've
Yes.
always known that. But my environment
Mhm.
it's such a social thing in my family.
Where do you
And
live in the world?
pardon?
Where do you live in the world?
I'm in Boulder,
Okay, in
Boulder,
Boulder, Colorado.
Colorado.
Okay.
But still,
And
I have a lot of friends that play music. I have a lot of friends, and I know, you know, Elton John, 35 years old, you know. I mean, there's a lot of people within that world, but there are a lot of people who I really respect who do drink, who it's not an issue.
mhm,
They maybe have 1 or 2 drinks a week. It's just everywhere, Tommy. It's
sure,
everywhere.
I know. I know. I want you to describe to me, if you could, you're a part of Recovery 2.0. Or do you attend meetings? Do you go to meetings in Boulder also, like
I
live or?
haven't gone to meetings lately because I just don't even think about it. I get up, I do my practice, I play music, I I play golf, I go swimming, I go hiking, I go
Hmm,
and do things, but I'm not, I mean, since COVID, I have not been going to 12-step meetings or things like that. Now, through recovery, I've made a couple of connections of people who are around here, but we haven't gotten together yet.
okay. Final two questions. One, who in your family are we talking about here? Is this children?
Everybody.
Is this brothers,
No, but
sisters?
where it really hurts me, Tommy, where it's really hurting is, and I kind of don't want this to be public, but you know, my children
Okay.
and my grandchildren,
Hmm.
especially my grandchildren, because they are, you know, in this environment
Yeah.
that that they're being raised in.
Okay. Good. Got you. Okay. Beautiful. So let me just jump in a little bit and then we'll speak again in a moment. The children children need to be inspired. They don't change any other way. Human beings need to be inspired into something. When I was smoking pot as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15, 16, 17, there's nothing you could have said to get me to stop. Nothing. What you could have done strategically is you could have said, let's go on a bike ride. Let's go climbing. Let's go on a hike. Let's go to a movie. And in doing that, you would have been exposing me to your way of being in the world, which was to be out in the world doing these fun things. What you'd be doing is planting seeds for my future. Now, of course, I would have to be willing to take a bike ride or to go climbing or to go to the movie with you or whatever you were going to inspire me to do. But in my mind as a child, as an adolescent, or in my 20s, or at any age really, I'm recognizing, oh, Ellen, grandma or mom or aunt, uncle, cousin, whatever, whatever you are to someone, Um, she's out in the world, and this is what it looks like to be enjoying life. Far and away, the most incredible thing you can do for anybody is enjoy your life and invite them into it without attachment. With it, yes, 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 without attachment. And so just breathe as I'm talking to you. For those who are listening to this and not seeing the visual, Ellen's like, it's so hard. It's so hard. How can you do that? But you live your life. You show what it is to be free. And you invite others to come and be free with you. No, I had an aunt, have an aunt, very special, very special, uncle as well. And many special people in my family, but these two, my aunt and uncle, they really made the difference in my childhood and in the childhood of my sisters, I believe, as well. In so many ways, they made a huge difference in our life. And they weren't able to fix our lives. They weren't able to change or immediately upgrade things for us, but they were able to demonstrate joy, possibility, fun, and invite us into it. And we lived in a home where we had a lot of stress and tension and worry and fear and at least on the emotional level, a lot of violence. And so to have someone there that represented something else, that represented, there were people in the world that we got to see who were enjoying themselves. I can't tell you how important that was for us, or for me. When somebody shows up and they're enjoying themselves and they're having a really good time, it gives somebody else hope, inspiration, something to shoot for. There's something to shoot for in this life. This challenging childhood that I was having, I needed to see a possibility beyond it. Because from where I was, there was just a lot of anxiety and a lot of difficulty and hardship there. There was also joy and fun in our family as well, but there was always, for me at least, this underlying feeling that something's wrong. And it's not fun. And so I started to find ways to help myself feel better. And what I found was primarily cannabis at first. And it was very helpful for me at the time, even though ultimately it would hide from me the damage it was doing. And I wouldn't be able to heal that until I let go of it. When I was younger, I mean, it really provided me with a community, and it gave me a way to shift my emotional state. It gave me a way to think a little bit differently than I was thinking, and I just couldn't get out of my own way as a kid. And so it served a purpose. And so you have an opportunity to be calm, cool, and collected. Now, one of the important questions I have for you to think about for yourself: am I being asked for my opinion? It's a really, really important question. She's shaking her head, everyone. No, I'm not. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes to be told that they're not doing something that's right or appropriate, especially when they haven't asked, especially when they're family. So the question is how can I position myself as a grandmother or as a mother to be helpful, truly. If they're not asking for your opinion about where they are in terms of their addictions, and you have, I'm sure legitimate worries about their behavior and the way your grandchildren are being raised, it's fair to have those concerns. And you have to ask yourself, what is your relationship with your kids? How do you communicate with each other? What is your sphere of influence, if any? Are they open to input? These are hard questions. But if they ask you and they say, I could use some guidance here, well, then you hit no. Not so much. Right. So, it's like sort of good news, bad news. On the one hand, you're free. On the other hand, you're seeing that there are loved ones in your life who are hurting themselves or who might be. And it concerns you. And that's a legitimate concern. The serenity prayer comes to mind. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Your sphere of influence is to show love, compassion, kindness, and to create some avenues to some really powerful, wonderful, healthy experiences. You can invite people into it. And then we get into some interesting issues that need to be looked at and discussed here, which I want you to take lightly. These are inquiries for each of us. What is it about me that compels me to want to change another person's behavior? Is it simply that I care, I see them using drugs or alcohol, and I think it's bad for them and I don't want them to do it? Maybe it is. And yet it's their life. It's their choice. They live in a world where they have lots of information about these things. It wouldn't be a new idea that this is potentially dangerous. But something about what they're doing is enjoyable to them in their current state of mind. How hard is that? If I am working on having somebody else change their behavior when they haven't asked me, they could be a loved one, and I volunteer my opinion, and they don't like it, it tends to put a little bit of distance between us. There's a little awkwardness or something unspoken, or the next time I see them, it's like, there's an energy there, So that's not helpful. If there's something about me that wants to be seen, heard, I want you to see me, I want to have some power in the family, I want to have influence here, that's something also to be mindful of. I'm not saying that's you, but something to think about. Where do you fit in this family? You can fit in as the loving, crazy grandmother who decided to have a great life, who goes out running and hiking and biking and playing, and you can continue to invite them into it. Takes a little strategy. My aunt and uncle were coming into a really difficult situation when they came into our home. And they didn't really do anything except listen to us. And then invite us into some fun experiences, which were sort of beyond the constraint of our childhood, that showed us there was something else possible. Just do that. I'm sure you do. And I think, sometimes I may not be perfect with all my nieces and nephews, but I'm really good with one or two at any given time. And so I can call them and have something happen there where maybe it's not everybody, but I can see that there is someone who resonates a little more with me than the others. And so I'll build that relationship. Doesn't mean I love anyone more or less, but there's an opening there. I'm just speaking strategically. There's sometimes in my family, there's some people that are more interested in connecting with me than others. And that has to be okay. And it could be that nobody wants to connect with me. I am, after all, the weird kid on the West Coast, the black sheep of the family, the weirdo, the yogi, all the things. But I've come to be comfortable with that now. When I wasn't comfortable with that, it was a real problem for me. My ego was involved. Why are you not calling me? Why are you not? So I want to hear what your thoughts are in my exploration here. So let me know, Ellen.
Well, I think I'm doing everything you say, and I guess basically there's not very many people I can talk to about it. So just having you listen is helpful because I am known as the fantastic grandmother. I mean, everyone calls me Pelsy. All the other kids do. The other kids come to my house. Like, I mean, it's like everybody, I do create those things.
Mm,
But there's also a situation where you keep bailing people out. I keep bailing people out. And that is becoming kind of a codependent thing where I have to say no.
okay. So let's get a little deeper
And
into that. So
and you have
Bailey,
to watch
give
someone.
me,
It it's just scary, I guess.
mm, can you give me an example of maybe the most recent bailing out of someone?
Well, like we had I don't know if I can talk about it, but let's just say it was a big financial thing, like not little,
Okay.
big,
Mm,
huge. And it was like, wait, it got to be like when I came to Costa Rica, I came because I was like, this vibration of addiction is so strong here in my family. And there's so many secrets, and I don't know what's happening.
mm,
I just don't know what's happening.
mm.
Anyway, I came back and I went, there's nothing I can do except stay bright myself. Stay super bright, stay super happy, stay super healthy, get even healthier, look at myself, clean out my closet, clean out my brain, clean out, everything. And I did that. And finally, they came to me and told me what was happening. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me this a year? I mean, I didn't. I was open arms. I brought everybody in. But the thing is, if it happens again, which I can feel it coming on,
This is related to drugs and alcohol.
I don't, there's so much I don't know. I mean, there's so much I don't know. It's the vibration, but it's mostly financial. But the financial thing is huge.
Okay.
And
So
I have these little babies that, I'm like, wait, I'm going to be, I think it's just, I don't even feel good talking about it because I feel protective of my family,
yes, yes,
and they
yes.
are, they are really cool people,
Of
really cool.
course. Well, of course they are. They're like all people who struggle in any realm of addiction, they're incredibly creative.
Yeah.
They feel and very sensitive people. They love very deeply. And in the frequency of addiction, they get very confused and off track, just like
Yeah. So bad. It's
it-
so bad.
it's not a shame thing. This is
No,
a
it's not a
shame.
shame thing. It's just like
Yes.
watching somebody be really sick.
Yeah.
And you know, you want to like give them some tea or something. I don't know. But at a certain point, giving them tea is not what they need. That's like probably where I'm at right now. It's like that you got to go get your own tea, baby.
Right. So here's a few things to consider on the financial side and on the sort of, this is about boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the first thing that I can recommend around boundaries is I would like you to investigate either Al-Anon, which is a 12-step fellowship,
Yeah. Yeah, I know it.
and okay, or ACOA, Adult Children of Alcoholics. I
Right.
don't know. I don't know if your parents struggled with alcohol in any
Oh,
way.
yeah. My whole family.
Okay. So I would like you very much to look into ACOA in particular.
I'll be more,
Okay.
yeah, will.
What you're describing to me is nothing more and nothing less than the dysfunction, intergenerational dysfunction
Yeah.
related to addiction and mental health issues that so many families are dealing with.
Yeah.
And when one person in that family is in recovery, as you are, you start to see a little more clearly what's going on, and you're in front of the insanity of addiction. And of course you want to be protective of your family because they are your family and they are cool people, albeit stuck in what I would call the frequency of addiction.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no shame to it for me. I understand it, but we want to have people move towards a path of healing. That's what your inquiry is about. I totally
Yeah.
get it. So if with regards to you bailing anybody out, my recommendation would be getting like help on the ground in Boulder. There are lots of people who can help you to understand ways that you can communicate with your family that would help to move them towards recovery, especially if they're going to ask you to bail them out again, which is likely because you bailed them out this time.
Right.
It's likely that it's going to happen again and they'll come again. So don't worry, you'll get another chance at this.
Okay.
So it's important to understand though that um, the you have a right to know what's going on. You have a right to ask questions. I'm saying if somebody is coming and asking you to bail them out, that changes the rules.
It does.
It does. But in order for you to be grounded and present and to ask the right questions and to help everybody to better understand their part in this whole thing, you might need help with that.
I do.
And so that recommendation is to get with somebody on the ground in Boulder and on a case by case basis to really look at what's going on.
Thank
And
you,
and
Tommy. I
yeah,
will.
yeah, it's so important because otherwise you will feel that you're being taken advantage of, and you will be. You'll be allowing yourself to be taken advantage of, not by mean people, by people who are operating in the frequency of addiction.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that they're your family or not. It's just people who are operating in the frequency of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes only a little more complex when they're in your family. And we have plenty of that too, like most families do. So, again, like this is a shame-free zone. Uh, I understand the tender nature and the way you would feel protective and not want to talk about these people because we're speaking just about addiction and we're not hearing all the incredible aspects of these relationships and lives. There's much more here than just this story. We know that.
Absolutely.
And there's this piece which has prompted your inquiry today, which is about an imbalance in the family. And that there is the dis-ease of addiction, the family disease of addiction, which by your own admittance goes back at least one generation, if not more,
Oh, more.
from you. So we're talking about at least four generations right
Oh.
here.
Totally.
Yeah. So this cycle of passing on addictive behavior, this can stop with your grandchildren. Now, there's down the line work that needs to be done by them.
Right.
There's a lot of healing work. And so that's the idea is moving sort of the family unit towards this healing work. Just to conclude this particular inquiry for now, we're looking at breaking intergenerational patterns of trauma and
I'm
addiction.
committed to it.
Okay. And so that requires more than what we can do on a 1 hour or half an hour show episode of a podcast. But it will include, for those listening, it will include things like 12-step work, therapeutic work, communication, and guidance from people that can help families to communicate better. It will include, a real strategy for healing, and it will only include the people that are willing to be a part of it at this moment in time. And if it starts with just the one person that's you,
Yeah.
that's okay.
It's okay.
And it can begin from there. So that, and I love your heart for and of course, who wouldn't bail out their family if they can? But we recognize that by bailing out people from addictive behavior, that we can be enabling and continuing that addictive behavior. So what I'm hearing you ask is, how can I find a better way?